Welcome to a Couple More Minutes podcast, where two veterans of the animation and video game industry talk about exactly that. I am one of your hosts. I am Jeff Gabor, and alongside me is
Pete Paquette.
All right. As always, you guys can reach us at a couple more minutes at gmail.com if you want to give any feedback, tell us how terrible or great we're doing, or actually want to participate in our 1v1 or Stump Pete. And this week, we actually have our 2025 Christmas wish list for things to come in the next year of world of video games. We have a review of Amazon's anthology series, Secret Level. And of course, Pete has a review of the Atari Recharged collection. But first, let's get right into our Stump Pete. Last week's winners, we have Evan G. List, Chase Tan, and Mark Piscato all ended up winning. And this week, let's see if Pete can continue to be undefeated. We're ramping up the difficulty. All right, so let's get this rolling.
I think you got me this week or this month. It sounds like a Capcom game.
Getting close. Not quite Capcom. I will give those out there a little hint to just move you in the right direction. This is Sunsoft.
Is this Gimmick?
It is not Gimmick.
Oh, then it's
Ding, 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 Pete. You got it, man. You nailed it. That's it. You got it. You got it.
Nah, that's an asterisk.
A little asterisk. But let's see if the audience can get it. A little tougher, a little less well known, but man, the music is great in that game.
It is.
All right, so we're going to move into our 1 versus 1. This is our segment where we pit two giants of retro video games against each other to see who is actually going to come out on top. And this week we have Rad Racer versus Excitebike. They're not exactly the exact same type of game back on the NES, but I think every single person that owned that console had at least one of these two games.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the listener comments first. We have a lot of people just saying their favorites. We got people solely in the Rad Racer column. We got Weevil of Doom, Tsunami 2069, Zero the 14th. Arn Pauly says that Rad Racer by a hair. And we got a couple people just saying Excitebike. This guy Slackinator says he didn't play much of Mad Racer, but I bet it didn't have a track builder where you can make your own tracks. So the win goes to Excitebike. Not as much passion, it seems like, people, picking one of the others, but I don't know. Do you have any particular thoughts on how you broke it down?
I just resorted to my ministry podcast.
Okay,
Matrix
cool.
Once again.
I really liked how you did that last time, so I went ahead and started going down similar categories. Where did you start?
Well, do you want me to go down the list? Or
let's do it. Let's do it. Well, let's do it.
All right, so Rad Racer versus Excitebike. There is actually a tiny bit of a narrative, if that's what you want to call it, for Rad Racer. It's at the very beginning of the manual. Conversely, Excitebike doesn't really have anything like that. It just tells the player basically how to play the game. So for me, narrative goes to Rad Racer. If there was any, if it was a competition there. Audio, Rad Racer has 3 catchy tunes to choose from while you race. where Excitebike has small jingles before and after a race. Sound effects are tied in quality. Goes to Rad Racer.
Man, I couldn't agree more. Man, the audio in Excitebike when you overheat is so grating on your soul. It's so annoying.
It is.
Oh my goodness. So, just to explain Excitebike for anybody that there's no way anybody's listening to this hasn't played it, but you're basically a dirt bike. You know, you're racing against a bunch of other dirt bike riders, and you're on like kind of an obstacle course, and you basically just press A to go at your medium speed, and you press B to go at an accelerated speed, but you'll overheat if you press it too long, and you have the option of like popping wheelies to like help you get over hills and leaning forward to make sure you maintain speed when you're jumping off of ramps and that kind of thing. So that's all. It's basically balancing your bike and balancing your speed to not overheat. That's the whole game.
I also love the little mechanic of like mashing the buttons to run faster to your bike after you fall off.
I don't think I ever actually did that. You know, I think I always just let him do the running. I don't think I ever bothered. I don't know. Maybe I never put it together that was something you're supposed to do.
Yeah, it works. You actually go a little faster.
Rad Racer, on the other hand, is like if you were to put race cars in the world of, it's like a third person from the back of the car racing down various streets of America type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're basically just racing to the finish before time runs out, and there's other vehicles on the road that you're trying to dodge. So it's straightforward in that way, but it's got like five tracks, you said?
It's got 5 tracks. 3.
Is it really? 3 audio tracks.
3 audio tracks, yeah.
But 5 levels.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So it's a little limited, but yeah, no course builder or anything. All right.
So far in the list, Rad Racer is up 2-0.
Yeah.
Gameplay. While they are 2 different games in terms of gameplay, Rad Racer is a repetitive experience, while Excitebike can literally be a new experience every time you play because it's programmable. So it goes to Excitebike for me.
Really? For gameplay?
Yeah.
So right now, I'm telling you to fire up one of those 2 games. You're firing up Excitebike?
Yeah.
No way. I cannot believe that.
Well, let me keep going here.
Okay.
There's more to this. The graphics. Rad Racer's car graphics are rather generic compared to the stylized characters with the big helmets. Rad Racer's environments change as you race, while Excitebike's environments are always the same, with maybe a palette swap here and there. This one was a tie.
Wow. All right. See, I would have just given it for the parallax type of movement in Rad Racer. Like, that was pretty cool.
I'm getting to that.
Okay, technical. Let's go.
Box art and presentation. Excitebike's box art is iconic. It's not even close. Excitebike.
Okay, yeah.
Fun factor. I have way more fun playing Excitebike than Rad Racer frustrates me. So Excitebike.
Okay.
And technical. Rad Racer's recreation of 3D racing is probably the best on the system. Excitebike is programmable. It's a tie. So I ended up with 2 ties and Excitebike winning 3-2.
Wow. Man, I would say like audio, I agree. It goes to Rad Racer. Visuals, to me, I thought it was like the variety of different cars, the excitement of like, all right, I think the parallax scrolling was amazing. The gameplay, I will say Rad Racer is crazy hard. Like, it is not easy to get past the first track. Like, I could fire it up today and easily not make it past the first track.
Yeah, you have to really be on top of it.
Do you know what would have set Excitebike over the top? And I feel like it would have, like, it's still remembered today. Like, it's even on the new Nintendo World Championship games, and Rad Racer's not. Is that I wish back then it would have just had a save feature.
Well,
Even if
it was originally on the Famicom Disk System versus Excitebike,
right.
and I think there was a save feature. Like you could save your levels. I mean your tracks.
I feel like that would have made all the difference. Even if they would have like put in some sort of password that coded the way your track was built, and you could just give your friends your password. That would have been, man, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
But yeah, no.
But
Such,
it was before
no
the It was before the battery technology, really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just not thinking this now. But if they would have like been able to program the password, as opposed to even a battery pack, the battery pack would have been awesome because you'd save your tracks and save your times and all that. But if you could literally do the password, so you could actually like go to school the next day and say, "Here, play my track," and it's like a really rudimentary Mario Maker. That would have been awesome.
Well, I'm surprised that actually wasn't in. It wasn't like part of it because Metroid was originally Metroid and Castlevania, and I believe Kid Icarus too. Castlevania, while Castlevania isn't a password game, they were all released on the Famicom Disk System beforehand, and you could save, and you didn't need a password. They developed the password so they could bring those games over to North America.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it's just because Excitebike was a launch title. They didn't have the foresight to see that then. But then again, that's a whole other story about like how touchy that launch was.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
So
yeah.
they didn't want to take any risks because they couldn't.
Yep. Yeah. So technically, I was going to give that also to Rad Racer. I don't know. I could be swayed either way on the box art because yeah, if you're just going straight up iconic, yeah, I mean Excitebike is like the black box, looks super cool. Rad Racer must have been early because its box layout is actually pretty similar to Black Box. Like it shows gameplay. It's just like silver, right? It's like a silver box with the gameplay. It's like Metroid-esque.
Like, yeah, it had the same colors as Metroid and Kid Icarus. I just don't remember if it was considered. No, Rad Racer doesn't have a password, does it?
No. But it has a like if you die and want to continue, it does the same thing like Mario Brothers kind of does, where it's like you press A and start at the same time, and then you can kind of continue.
Okay,
something like
because the silver boxes meant password packs. That's to the best of my knowledge. That's why they were silver.
Really? Maybe it was.
Yeah.
Maybe it was. I don't, the weirdest thing about Rad Racer is it came with 3D glasses.
I know that was strange.
You would hit the select button, and the whole screen would go red and blue and be super fuzzy. It never worked. I don't know about you. Did you ever get it to work?
I never got it to work. When I played this as a kid, it was a rental, and I never even had the 3D glasses at my disposal. So occasionally, once in a while, I would find like some 3D glasses from something else elsewhere and play it like that.
Yeah, and it didn't do it, right?
No, it didn't do it.
I was reading up on like why it likely never worked, and it really has to do with the fact that all our CRTs back in the 80s, they were all like showing different colors, right? Like we all remember the color palette of the NES slightly differently because all our TVs were differently. And so if your red and blue or cyan and red, whatever, glasses aren't exactly the right color of blue and red, it's not going to work. And so like, unless you calibrate your CRT, which you can't really do back in the day, it's not gonna hit right. So I'm guessing that has a lot to do with it. Anyways, so if we're counting it up, you clearly gave it to Excitebike. We have 1, 2, 3.
Not clearly, it was 3-2.
3-2. Okay. Well, so I'm going Rad Racer. You're going Excitebike. The audience goes Rad Racer. I think they're the tiebreaker. So I'm calling the champion being Rad Racer. You're in the minority this week. I'm sorry, Pete.
Fair enough.
You lost.
Fair enough.
Excitebike is going down. I would actually really do wish Rad Racer was part of the Nintendo World Championship. That would be fun. I can see why it's not. It's a lot harder to like. Yeah, now that I think about it. Why would I want that? I just like the game more, but it would actually suck to play that. Like, how are you going to make little chivos out of that? Like little achievements and stuff. You're not going to really be able to break it down very easily. All right, so I'm wrong. All right,
How many times you flip your car?
Yeah, try to get through this checkpoint without flipping, or I don't know. It's not really a time trial type game. All right, I'm giving it back. I take it back. Yeah, I take it back. Screw it. No, Excitebike. I'm glad Excitebike is on Nintendo World Championship. All right, so next week, if anybody wants to chime in and contribute to what they think is the matchup, and we'll read your comments, we have a arcade Titan matchup of Donkey Kong versus Pac-Man.
Oh boy, that's a tough one, man. That's a tough one.
I don't. There's not. That's as iconic as it gets in terms of arcades.
Yeah,
Could throw in Space Invaders or something in there, but yeah, Pac-Man versus Donkey Kong.
it's a tough one.
Moving on into, we got a little bit of news to get to before we hit into our main topic. The Game Awards were this last week for 2024. I don't know. Did you catch any of that, Pete?
No, I didn't. Unfortunately,
I heard they were better this year, but I don't know what that means. I don't think I've ever watched it live. It's always interesting just to see what the games are. Game of the year went to Astrobot. I don't think that's a big surprise for a lot of people.
yeah, everybody's telling me to play that game. I just don't have a PS5.
I don't have PS5 and I also don't have 100 hours to dump into a game.
Yeah, that's true too.
It's too big. It's too big. But the game that won Indie Game of the Year and that was up for Game of the Year is Balatro. I'm just gonna assume I'm saying that right. I've seen it talked about a ton, but I've never actually ever heard anybody say the name. But from my understanding, it's basically one dude made this game. And it's basically a card game. People love it. And
Really?
it's getting like a crazy amount of like interest from other developers, like wanting their IP put into the game now. Like they're creating another pack with a whole bunch of crossover games, including like Shovel Knight being included into the game next year.
Wow.
Yeah, I won Indie Game of the Year, so congrats to them. Like that's crazy.
What's it on? I see.
I think it's on everything.
Nintendo Switch, PS5.
Yeah, it's I mean, it even says mobile game, so I'm sure it's probably on your phone. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, because it got Independent Game of the Year, Mobile Game of the Year, up for Game of the Year. Period. It's like crazy. It's like unheard of. I just loaded up a Twitch stream just to like, hey, watch somebody play it, being like, oh, what is this game? I was like, I cannot follow it. I'm sure it makes a lot more sense when you just jump in originally and like maybe play some tutorials or something. But I was like, whoa, this is way above my head. This looks like a really elaborate version of Rummy to me. But I'm sure I am not understanding, because if it's getting that much attention, it must have some sort of unique brilliance to it.
Yeah, it's ranges in price between like $13 and $15 from what I can see here.
Apparently, its sales skyrocketed once it was announced for Game of the Year, which I wouldn't be surprised. So good for that. Most of the other categories, not really too interested in. Multiplayer Game of the Year was Helldivers 2. Ongoing game, Helldivers 2. Role-playing Game of the Year was Metaphor. Blah, blah, blah. A lot of games that you and I aren't really playing, so not really in that scene. So, but we did get a really cool trailer for a game that is up our alley. Ninja Gaiden Rebound. Ragebound. That'd be a different type of game. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound.
Ryu Hayabusa is recently divorced and
he's on the prowl.
Yeah.
Man, it paid complete homage to the trailer. Like echoes the original opening cinematic of the first Ninja Gaiden on the NES, and like that. I mean, that cinematic is like as classic as it gets. So that was definitely homaged in their trailer, and a lot of other cool, really slick animation. It's pixel art, side scrolling. I'm
Looks
definitely gonna pick
difficult. Looks hard as balls.
Yeah, it does
It's
look
just
hard.
like right up your alley.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. There was
When does it come out?
sometime later this year. I don't know exactly when. I think the trailer just said 2025, but I'm not exactly sure. Definitely check that out. I love seeing that. It's like really elaborate pixel art. Like it's not NES original. It definitely looks like it's been upgraded to like 16-bit type of graphics. Very, yeah, very well done. Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, me neither.
We also got something I pulled for you, Pete. Did you hear that Sesame Street is looking for a new home? HBO Max is not upping their their involvement. They've been part of their streaming, and where they stream all the new episodes, and then several months later it ends up on PBS, and they are hosting a bunch of their old seasons and that kind of thing. And that was a 5-year deal that started back in 2019, I believe. So I think it's going to go through the next season, which would take us through 2027, I believe. But yeah, so they're on the market. They're looking for somebody to pick them up. Apparently, there's a lot of interest. Man, maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. It feels like a Marvel type of thing. What if it ends up at Disney? Because if it does, then the Muppets can make their way back there. I don't know. I don't know if that's something that would intrigue you.
I mean, on one hand, it would be interesting to see Kermit doing the news on Sesame Street again.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I don't know if it's worth what they did to the Muppets for them to do what they would do to Sesame Street. Because like the franchise, the Muppets franchise is pretty much dead because of Disney.
I mean, it's dead, all right, yeah.
Like I think I was like floored when I found out that they're changing the Rock and Roller Coaster at Disney World to a Muppet themed roller coaster. I was like amazed. And because I mean, we just haven't heard anything since.
It's actually surprising that the characters even track anymore. Like where are new kids even seeing Kermit or Mrs. Piggy or Animal or anything anymore?
In memes.
In memes, yeah. You're probably right. Yeah.
I'm not lying. That's how my kids know half the things that I talk about is because of memes.
Oh my God.
Not because of source content.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
That's so weird. Yeah, our entire history is going to be end up and only being known because it's like a side comment of a picture image where people are like, "Oh yeah, no, I know that," and it's just because it's a meme. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Anyways, I hope it ends up at a nice home. Man, I feel I tried to get my kids into Sesame Street for a long time, and it just never quite landed for them. I don't know why.
Well, it's not the same as it was when we were kids.
Yeah,
it's not the same. It's totally different. It's a show now that actually caters more towards adults. I had a discussion with Carol Spinney, the puppeteer of Big Bird and Oscar, and I brought this up to him. I was like, "How do you feel about where Sesame Street is now?" This was probably about 10 years ago. How do you feel about where it is now compared to where it was back then? And he's like, well, where it was back then, we geared everything towards the kids. And now he's like, it's like we have to entertain the parents too. So that's why you end up with like Game of Thrones parodies on Sesame Street.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's weird. He didn't like it. It was, and I don't like it either. But you have to watch yourself because I have the death sentence on 12 systems.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, I was just thinking that I remember there was a clip like a couple of years ago, where it had the like really gruff guy from the Apple series Ted on there. He's just known for cursing a lot on the series Ted Lasso.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's like I was just thinking, it's like, oh yeah, that was definitely meant for me. I didn't really think about it at the time, but I was like, no kid is watching Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
And that's just on there, and I'm sure it's just on there so it can get on Instagram or whatever, and you end up watching that little segment, and then you're like, oh, I should get my kids to watch Sesame Street. I'm sure it's a marketing strategy,
More than
right?
likely, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I miss the Muppets more than I miss watching Sesame Street. Like, I was actually really addicted to watching Muppet Babies. I watched Muppet Babies well into my teenage years.
Unfortunately, you'll never see that released officially. There was so much like intertwining IP and everything
Oh
in
my
that
god.
show.
There was so much Star Wars.
Yeah, there was tons of Star Wars.
Indiana Jones, I think, was in there too.
Yep. And
Yeah.
meanwhile, Disney has the IP and they've done nothing with it, even though they could. They totally could have.
Yeah.
You know.
Did they wait? I'm just not. Did they try to revive Muppet Babies a couple of years ago? Like, is it CG? I'm trying to hold on. I gotta look that up real quick. New Muppet Babies. Muppet Babies 2018 series is an American animated television series featuring toddler versions of the Muppets. It went from 2018 to 2022. It looks awful.
Mm.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Okay, yeah, it's all CG and it looks like not great.
Not
So
good CG.
no, no. That was a fun thing. The Muppet Babies back in the 80s was 2D animation, which it's too bad it wasn't actually. I don't know. Wait, now it's live action Muppets. Oh my god! Now I'm just learning all this other stuff. Okay, I don't know. Anyways, I'm clearly getting to an area that I don't know about. Anyways, I miss the Muppet Babies. They were cool. The show
I
was
miss
super
the
creative and fun.
I miss the Muppet Show. I
They tried to
really
revive that too, right? Like 15 years ago, right? And it
well
like
they
was on
did
ABC or
they did something like a Muppet. It was different. It was like it's not called Muppets Tonight. That was earlier, but they did something on a major platform where it was like very very like ADD like like one thing after another like flipping through a TikTok. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up. There's Muppets Tonight. Oh my gosh, talk about stuff we should have looked up beforehand. Yeah, I don't know what happened. There was some crazy series that happened like 10 years ago, and I just remember it lasted all of like 3 episodes, and the reviews were terrible, and it was here and then it was gone.
Yep. I'm glad to hear Fraggle Rock's doing good.
Where is that right now?
They re-released it on Apple TV a couple years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And it's won. I believe it's won a couple Emmy awards.
Yeah, Fraggle Rock Back to Rock. Yeah. I haven't seen any episodes. I'd love to see it.
Well, they just released the Blu-ray, Jeff Gabor.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah.
Man, I used to love so in music class back in the day, you'd know it'd be a good day when they wheeled the TV in on the cart and they were gonna turn on Fraggle Rock for us. Oh man, those were the best days. It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Fraggle Rock Day. Those are good, man.
My teacher never reeled in anything. She always just had like a shoulder harp, and she's like kring kring kring, singing songs.
Oh, that's sad, man. Yeah, we were very lucky to get Fraggle Rock going. Let's see, where are we at? Where are we at? Oh my God, we've completely gone down the wrong side of the road here with going down music class. We'll play something, and when we come back, we'll get to our main topics of our quick review of Amazon's Secret Level. We'll talk about our 2025 wish list, and we got the Atari. What is it called again, Pete?
The Atari Recharged collection.
Recharged collection. Of course it is. All right. When we come back, we'll get to that. Okay, Pete. Secret Level.
Secret Level.
It's got it's about right now. It's eight episodes. They're all based on some sort of video game franchise or something. Fully CG animated.
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to anybody who might have worked on this, but it's not for me. Like, I didn't enjoy. Like, I watched Pac-Man, and because I didn't know many of the other games. I knew maybe one other game, but even then, I didn't know it very well. But I know Pac-Man well.
Yep.
And I watched Pac-Man, and I can't even put it into words how confused I was. and how disappointed I was. So, and you know, and thumbing through the other episodes, I was like, this is all like motion capture, you know, like it's nothing's really screaming to me to watch this. So I kind of ended it after watching Pac-Man.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously from the animation industry. We've been doing this a long time. I'm sure there's a handful of our buddies that worked on this stuff. But I've taught my kids whenever I try to get them to eat a lot of food that they have never eaten before, right? And so when they taste something that they really don't like, I just tell them to say, it's not my favorite. I would say Secret Level is not my favorite.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. I'm sure it's for somebody. I don't know who it's for. Like, I'm trying to think. Specifically the Pac-Man episode. It's like, okay, Pac-Man. Who plays Pac-Man? Who knows Pac-Man? I'm going to make a Pac-Man animated short. Who am I making this for? It's just important always, right, to think about your audience when you're making something.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you picked Pac-Man. All right, you're thinking of a lot of kids or people that were born in the 70s and 80s. Just say what the short is. It's a hyper realistic I don't know what to call him, a goblin orc type character that is going around. He's trapped in a maze, and there is just gore and blood upon gore. It is,
and to say he's trapped in a maze is being kind. It's not a maze like you would think Pac-Man would be.
No, yeah. He's got this like little round orb ball that's constantly telling him to eat or be eaten, and it just gets so gory. And I'm like, what is this for? And it's very like thriller suspense type of thing where you're not really sure what's happening. You never get a sense of why is this person here? What's going on? What world is this? Like, why is this? And then it ends in a very like manner that's like, okay, let's do this all over again type of thing. Like reminiscent of like popping in another quarter and getting a new life and doing it all over again type of feeling. I'm guessing that's what they were going for with that. But yeah, I'm just like, all right, so you got blood and gore, so I'm not showing it to anybody new. It is definitely, this whole anthology series is rated R. Like, you're not showing this to kids. They say it's some of it's PG-13. I'm like, I am not showing, that is not PG-13 to me. Like, that is a lot of gore. I don't know. And then, yeah, you were mentioning some of the other episodes. You know, they got like Dungeons and Dragons and Warhammer and a lot of games. Actually, I am with you. I'm sure they're popular. I don't know them. Crossfire and
Armored Core
Yeah,
was
Sifu.
one.
There's one, I don't know if you've loaded up New World. It's got this main character that's voiced by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, really?
But Uncanny Valley is everywhere. I think
Yeah.
Blur ended up doing a lot of this animation. And it's like, man, good for you in terms of it looking so hyper realistic, but it still is the Uncanny Valley. It's still there.
Well, it all comes down to the way it moves.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you hear the dialogue and you hear all this expression and all this like emotion in the voice, and it never comes across in the face. It's always flat. I don't know what that is. Like I guess I never worked in the visual effects industry, but I don't know why the face can never quite live up to what the voice, or the face can never live up to what the voice is doing. And it does it so much better when you caricature it. Anyways, that is a feature of every single one of these shorts, is that it is hyper realistic Uncanny Valley with stories that you're not quite sure who it's for, and it never quite builds the world fully enough that you really want to ever revisit it again. And I didn't find it. I didn't watch all of them. I watched like 4 out of the 8 or something like that.
Mm.
But yeah, it's just not my favorite. And the I'm still gonna end up watching at least the next half of the series, because they already have another 8 that are coming out, and one of them is Mega Man. I'm like, I can't not watch that. I have to watch the Mega Man one.
And there's another one, Spelunky, too, which I'm curious to watch.
Yeah, Spelunky, yeah. So I was like, okay. I see Mega Man blowing limbs off of people and blood and guts. I swear to God. Like, it's like, don't do that. I hope.
I kind of hope Capcom would put a lid on that shit.
You'd hope so.
You know, because they've never done that.
No. I mean, I've already they have images from it. And it's like, it is hyper realistic. It's like, dang it. I don't know. Like, I'm thinking, okay, I can appreciate that they went somewhere very different with Pac-Man. Like, it's definitely not the obvious choice. That is for sure. I'm like, I don't know where you got that. Like, like, it is not until like maybe the last 30 seconds where you're like, oh, it's Pac-Man. You would never know. But I'm like, what would I want to see in Pac-Man as like a kid of the 80s and people that grew up before that? What would you want to see? And don't you want like a really fun, playful version of like almost the 80s cartoon done really well, silly, slapsticky. That's what I want to see. And I know that maybe feels like more like the obvious choice, but it's ripe for doing something really special with it.
Yeah.
Like, I would want to see some like over the top, Hotel Transylvania type of Gendy animation on top of it, and do something crazy and silly. Like, they had.
Well,
all
it was
those,
kind of like watching Qbert in Wreck-It Ralph. It was really awesome to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because it was the character. It was Qbert.
Yep. Yeah, totally. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you nailed it. Like, the way that they treated a lot of those old school characters in Wreck-It Ralph is the way I just want to see a short of all that.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been great.
Yep.
I don't know. It's funny how like I'm like, I wonder if that's a taller ask. Because like all these studios, they have this entire pipeline to make stuff look really realistic. Like super heavy special effects, hyper rendered materials, motion capture. It's not easy. I know it's not easy, but there's like I don't want to piss anybody off. But it feels like there's an instruction
You're
manual.
probably too late.
You're probably right. But I feel like there's an order of how you do that. Like, it's like you have your goal, make it look realistic. You already kind of know in your head. Like, the design work in this stuff is amazing. I will say that. The Dungeons and Dragons, the like armor and these like this gold dragon, The it's visually the designers like did some amazing stuff. But at the end, it looks realistic. To do something that is like super caricatured and do something that's like Hotel T in terms of the animation and stuff. Like you got to get some really crazy out there bendy rigs. You got to really develop this stuff that's like it's not anywhere where there's like an instruction manual on kind of how you do that stuff. So I wonder if that's a taller ask almost to do that stuff.
Or you just pick up a pencil.
Well, yeah, there's that too. Like I remember I was at Blue Sky at the time, and we ended up being, a handful of us animators and stuff, we got called into these meetings of like, hey, we have a call coming in from Industrial Light and Magic, and they want to talk to you guys, like sign your NDA, like we're going to talk about a project that they're on. And they wanted to just talk about how in the world can they get ready and build rigs for their upcoming Space Jam production. This is Industrial Light and Magic. They know the ins and outs of special effects and monster creatures and all this. They've been doing it for decades. But now they got cartoon stuff, and they don't know where to begin. So I'm like, it's not an easy... It looks easier, but man, is it hard.
They did Rango, so like... But Rango wasn't really...
No, it's the same thing.
2D crazy...
No.
esque animation,
Yeah, they caricatured the models, like this chameleon ends up looking like more like a cartoon character, but he doesn't move like like Bugs Bunny.
Yeah,
that's not Tex Avery, Chuck Jones stuff. Anyways, so I'm just given like a little bit of understanding to maybe it's a tall task to ask them to turn Pac-Man into something that's super cartoony and crazy when a lot of it's all going into blur and they do one particular look really well. So maybe they're just leaning into that. I don't know. Anyways, I wish it was something different. That's all I can say, and it's just overall it wasn't for me.
Nah, me neither.
Okay, moving on from that, let's hope by the next time we chime in, we can give our little quick review of Mega Man and hope it fares better. 2025 is a year. It's Christmas time right now. 2024 is, we're going to ring that out. It's going bye 2025, ring that in, I should say. And with that, we have wishes and dreams for the new year. Stuff we want to happen. Promises we want to keep and make. And with that, we have 3 special items that we hope comes true for the year 2025. Pete, would you like to read your first entry in your wish list for 2025?
Yeah, it's going to piss a lot of people off. I'm just telling you right now.
All right.
And it all boils down to play games, not specs. More emphasis by devs to make their games fun rather than worrying about having to run their games at 60 frames per second, for example.
Mm.
That's number 1.
I can get down with that. I mean, I would almost like add on to that with like the emphasis of things to look real. Like the amount of people that are like constantly like, look what Unreal can do and these engines and Unity and all this stuff. I'm like, look how realistic that this material is and how you can scan this in and the motion capture makes this much easier. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Can we make a fun game? That would be cool because
riffing off that, you see all those people like, oh, we've remade Super Mario Brothers in Unreal Engine 5. Look how awesome it is. And it plays like absolute dog shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I really don't care. Yeah, I don't care with that. Oh my gosh. That just reminds me, this last week I saw, it may even showed up on one of your social media streams, where it's like AI reimagines Fortnite. And it was like a side-by-side comparison of like what Fortnite looks like now. So sad. And then what AI reimagines it as, and it's like hyper-realistic materials and like the dances look like all done by real people. I'm like, what the heck who wants that? Like, yeah, I get that. That sunset looks really like a real sunset. I don't care. Oh my god, it bothers me. Not to mention, I just hate AI. Okay, um,
Yeah.
I'll do
Yep.
my first entry just so we go back and forth. I would like for 2025 to really fall in love with a new roguelike pixel art game that is similar to Enter the Gungeon.
Hmm.
I keep going back to Enter the Gungeon. I mean, I was talking that back in the just a few more minutes podcast days,
Yeah,
and
you played the hell out of that.
I still play it. It's just right next to me right now. Like, I still fire that up. I still haven't, exhausted the depths of that game. And everybody told me, it's like, oh, if you love that, you should play the original Binding of Isaac. I played Binding of Isaac. Hot take, that game sucks. I do not like it. It feels like in every single way, Enter the Gungeon is better. And maybe it's just because I played that first, but Binding of Isaac is like rudimentary. It's not like as fast paced and fun. It's easy too, comparatively. Like, I think my second go, I beat the game. I was like, what the heck? Like, man, Enter the Gungeon, you gotta like fight tooth and nail for a year to get to win that game. I guess you could say Hades, but I don't really. I didn't really fall in love with Hades. Anyway, so that's what I would really like for 2025. I'm gonna put that on my wish list. Yeah.
Very nice. My second entry is I would like Nintendo to release that 8-bit prototype of Breath of the Wild they talked about years ago.
Ooh, yeah.
I would love to play that.
Man, your wish list is cool. I would like that too. Man, do you remember that there was a indie dude that was remaking, I think it was Ocarina of Time in like Link to the Past type, or Link to the Past type graphics. It looked so amazing. So it was like a 16-bit version of Ocarina of Time, but I don't know. I don't know if they put it on Kickstarter or something, but Nintendo did the cease and desist on that.
Yeah.
So it's never going to see the light of day. Looked sweet though. But yeah, an official version of a Breath of the Wild 8-bit, man, that would be sweet. Do you remember where you heard the original story of that?
It was such a while ago already.
Yeah.
I don't really remember.
Man, that'd be a cool little drop if all of a sudden they did that. Let's see. It was 8-bit Breath. There's no way it's going to come up. Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing.
They touted it before they released the game. Like the real Breath of the Wild game. They said, oh, we use this to develop the...
Yeah.
It's like, prove it.
Yeah,
prove it.
There's this one person that just says, Nintendo already sort of created this. During early development, they made a 2D 8-bit like prototype to test a lot of their ideas for Breath of the Wild open world system. And of course, that's never going to be public. Yeah. Interesting. Well, that would be cool, though. I would actually, I don't know. Just a riff on that. You mentioned in our last episode how much you liked Minish Cap.
Yeah.
So I immediately fired that up. So it is on the Nintendo Switch Online. If you have the expansion pass, you can, whatever it's called. Anyways, you can get the Game Boy Advanced stuff, and Minish Cap is just sitting there. So it was just waiting on my Switch this whole time to play. So I fired up. Man, it is really beautiful. The game is a really beautiful, fun game. I definitely got pretty pissed off many times already because I'm like, I don't know what to do next. I couldn't. It is so. I mean, all Zelda games are to a certain extent like kind of cryptic, but I kept getting stuck over and over again. I felt so bad having to reach out to the internet. I just had to. I was like, I'm going to run around and talk to every single character all over again and spend 3 hours, or I can just like do a quick search and realize I'm probably standing right next to the answer and don't even see it. And that happened like 5 times.
Mm.
Outside of that, I'm really loving the game. Going to continue to play that. So
Yeah,
I guess that's my consolation prize to having the 8-bit Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, it's been, how many years ago was that already? God.
Ooh,
We were in Westchester. We were in White Plains, in the White Plains office when I played it.
Yeah, Minish Cap. Let's see the release date of Minish Cap. 2004.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah. I was just out of college. Lordy. Yeah. But yeah, really well done. It's it's the top down version of Zelda, and it has such a cool mechanic that you get to shrink. So it's instead of doing the Link to the Past where you have the dark world and the light world type of thing, is you have the shrunk world where you can keep going into, and then you have being normal size. So really smart, well done, super good puzzles, and just cryptic. That's all. So thanks for that, leading me towards doing that, because it's really great.
Sure, man.
I think it's my turn.
It is your turn.
All right, this is a little bit of an overreaching, this is like my version of I'd like world peace. But I would like an end to the animation and video game industry collapse.
Yes.
It is heartbreaking, and I don't see it stopping. But man, it would be nice to stop the hemorrhaging, because all of our friends, all of us we're all scrambling for jobs. It's to the point where it's actually it's not real fun to jump on LinkedIn or anything anymore, because all it is a series of people that have gotten laid off, and you're trying to find people jobs, and it happens so frequently that I think we've all become desensitized to it.
Yeah.
It's
and one of the hardest things too about it is when you get a message from somebody that they have the skills and everything, and you would definitely give them a job, but there's just nothing to give.
Yeah. Yep.
And they're like, if you hear of anything, let me know. And it's like, I'm not hearing anything. I shouldn't laugh, but there's just there's nothing out there.
No, and it's not just for the people that are looking for jobs. The people that have the jobs are scared. At any moment our jobs can either be gone, or we have no leverage to fight for higher pay, because we're 100% replaceable all at this moment. Back in 2012 or whatever, maybe before that, 2008, if you had the skills, you pretty much got to go where you wanted in the industry. There just wasn't a whole lot of us out there. So if you had a decent amount of skills, you could probably hop around to Disney and Sony and Blue Sky and Real Effects, and it would take you all around the world. Not so much anymore.
No.
So I don't fight for raises anymore. I'm not in contract negotiations anymore. I don't do any of that. You just sort of take what you're given at this point.
Yeah.
So,
that's what you just said is very true.
And even you feel it in how far your opinions go at various studios. You have to. I personally, I shouldn't say everybody feels this way. I personally feel like I'm so scared to possibly lose my jobs that I walk on eggshells. I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to give critiques to possibly pipeline issues, because it's just I don't want to stand out. I don't want to be the nail that gets hammered. I'm just gonna just do my job. That's it. I'm happy to do it. Thank you very much, sir. Please can I have some more? That's it.
Yep.
And it's not good for the industry as a whole. The whole industry, whether you have a job or don't have a job, this kind of way on supply and demand tilt, where it's now there's way too much supply and no demand. and there's only a handful of people that are like reaping all the money at the top, and it certainly isn't the artists anymore, or if was it ever, I don't know. But certainly not now. So I would like the hemorrhaging to stop and the crazy amount of job loss to just stop. Yeah.
Yep. All right, on to something lighter.
Yeah, let's do it.
My third final entry into this 2025 wish list is I would love to see a 2D game made by Nintendo, specifically called Kid Icarus, with the artwork from the manuals from back then.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Because that artwork was so full of character.
Yeah, it was cute.
It wasn't just Kid Icarus. It was all of the original Nintendo. Like Metroid had some really cool stuff in their manuals. You know, I think even Excitebike, even like ice hockey, there was some really cool like character stuff.
Man, I loved some of that artwork of like the first two Zelda games.
Yeah,
the manual artwork.
Zelda 2.
Oh,
yeah,
man, it was just different. It was cool. Yeah,
give me that, please.
That would be sweet. Did you ever play the DS? I think it was DS. Maybe there were some Game Boy ones, but the DS Kid Icarus games.
I did, but I didn't like. I never played Uprising, but I played their 3D remake for the 3DS.
Okay.
Where they put like brand new backgrounds in, because like for instance, when you're jumping out of the underworld as Pit, all the background's black.
Yep.
So what they did was they put all these like mountains and everything in the back, like mountainous cliffs and everything in the background.
Okay.
And they made like all the sound effects and the music echoey, and I didn't really like it.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I wanted to go back and play those, but I don't think I ever really heard anything good about them. So I think that's why they just hit the back burner hardcore. But that's a great idea to like make some games. I could even see like a collaboration type of like a collection of like adding all those cartoons into one massive game. That'd be so cool. Yeah.
Or even it doesn't even have to be a game, even just a cartoon with those.
Yeah, you're right. See, right there. That is where we should have got that anthology series for Secret Level. That would have been sweet. If there was an entire one of the shorts that was all inspired by the original artwork from the manuals, that would hit you.
Awesome.
It would hit you all in the right places, all the feels. I could show my kids it. I can't show my kids any. I don't want to go rant on that anymore. Anyways, great idea. My last wish for 2025 is I really hope we get more information about the successor to the Switch. And it's wishful thinking, but I just want them to call it the Super Switch. And I know we gave the Wii U such crap for the fact that they basically just took the Wii and just added U at the end. And now I'm asking them to just put Super in front of the Switch. But I think it's
but there's precedent there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm going. It's like, all right, the NES was so awesome, and it's to call it the Super Switch. And then I want the exact same super, like, stylized writing over the Switch and just call it the Super Switch just to honor even the typography. That'd be awesome. I mean, just Nintendo needs to keep doing what they're doing. And that's the other thing with I want the Super Switch to do is, like, just don't stray too far. Don't do the Virtual Boy stuff. Like, don't go nutty again. Like, I don't want motion controls. Just do what you do, which is amazing games. Like, get your new Mario Kart, get your new 3D Mario, do an awesome side-scrolling, new Donkey Kong Country and whatever wacky, weird stuff that they, like, they're Mario makers and maybe a Zelda maker, or I don't know, whatever they want to do. Like, just keep doing that and don't do anything weird with a controller. Like the Switch controllers suck. The Joy-Cons suck.
Yeah, they do.
So, and even their Pro controller is like not great. So I wish they could do a Super Switch, better controller, keep the same IPs, keep them rolling out. I love that their games are always have like a lighthearted type of feel to them. Like the Switch and Nintendo just feels like it's meant to be played by kids and adults. And I hope that they continue that into the Super Switch. That would be awesome.
That would be cool.
I wanted to read a couple of our listener wishes for 2025. One person, actually a couple people, wanted the Elder Scrolls 6 to happen. They want a new 3D Mario platformer. Arm Polly says we got a 0 to 14 thing. They want a Parasite Eve remake. Square to remaster. What is this? Vagrant Story? I don't even know what that is. I'm so stupid. Vagrant Story and Parasite Eve. So Parasite Eve again. Quest 64 to get a surprise remake. They just want a reliable info regarding the next PlayStation handheld, the Switch 2, and a new retro mini console such as a Nintendo 64 Mini. That would be cool. I like those mini consoles. If they had made one for the 64, I'd probably buy it.
I think I have every one. I have the TurboGrafx 16, the Sega Genesis, the Super Nintendo, and the Nintendo one.
Where's the PlayStation?
I have that one too.
Okay, there
it's
you
just not. It's just not in my. It's not in my visual cone of sight right now.
Yeah, those are fun. I'm missing the TurboGrafx 16. I'd like to get that. Anyways, a lot of good wishes for the next year. Some more people just saying they wish they could get a new update about Switch 2 and some more Elder Scrolls wishes. So let's move on to our last and final, the greatest, the best, the pièce de la résistance topic of the review of Atari's Reloaded. No, what is it called again? What is it called? Damn it. I can't remember it. Pete's review of Recharged Collection. Jesus. All right. Atari Recharged. Recharged, not Reloaded, not remade.
I'm going to go through this quickly. Okay. Because they're not deep games whatsoever. And some of them I played when I was a kid, and others I didn't. And I will let you know on the ones that I didn't as I go through it. So first, I don't recommend playing them on physical media. That's how I have them. I have it looks cool on a shelf because it looks like two books.
Okay.
Two collections of two Switch games. It with two games on each.
Okay.
It's kind of a pain to have to change the cartridges out since there's only two games on each one. And since they're so quick, they're basically arcade games. Since they're so quick to play, you're like, oh, I want to go to the next one, and you switch out the cartridge, and then oh, I want to go to the next one. Okay, so I got to put the cartridge away, get the other box out, take the cartridge out of the other box, and it's something like this. I'd highly recommend just going fully digital.
Okay.
Now, the other reason why I say that is because there is two games that aren't available in physical that I also have that I played that I will be talking about in here. So they break up into 5 collections. The first collection is Asteroids and Breakout. The second is Black Widow and Centipede. The third is Caverns of Mars and Yar's Revenge. The fourth is Gravatar and Missile Command. And the fifth is Berserk and Quantum. Now, customization is very limited. You can only switch to preset controls. You cannot map a function to just anything. Also, in the case of asteroids, the thrust control is hard-coded, so it cannot be changed. I made the mistake by changing my attack button to the thrust button once, and I ended up attacking and thrusting at the same time. It kind of sucks.
Oh, weird. Okay.
So, here we go. Asteroids. It's great. But whoever mapped default controls must eat soup with a knife. You'll definitely have to customize them as best you can. I went with the right trigger thrust, left trigger attack. Breakout. I'm not even going to mention it because these games were not meant to be controlled with a joystick. They were meant to be controlled with a paddle. I have spoken.
Okay.
Black Widow is one of the games I never played back in the day, so the experience was rather bland for me. Very simple game.
Now, so these games are slightly reimagined.
Well,
right? Like they're not straight up, they're not ports. They're like updated a little bit.
They have like updated graphics, updated sound, gameplay in some cases, and adding power-ups and challenges and achievements and
okay,
things like that. Centipede is one of the strongest entries in the collections. It's just good old Centipede with slick stylized graphics, music, and upgrades. Caverns of Mars is probably one of the more not well-known ones in this collection. But it was on the Atari XE. The Atari 800 XE. Caverns of Mars is high-intensity space spelunking at its finest. Really cool, but one hard son of a bitch. The original one had you go down to the caverns, drop a bomb, and get the hell out before it detonated. It was really nice pairing of careful gameplay, trying not to detonate the bomb on the way down, and frantic gameplay, fleeing the cavern before being overcome by the explosion. It mentions that it is in the game, but I haven't found it yet. Perhaps it's in one of the challenges or something, but it is a difficult game, but it is very, very fun to play.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yar's Revenge is the best game in the collection. If you're going to buy any Recharged collection, buy Collection 3. It has Caverns of Mars and Yar's Revenge. The original gameplay is intact with upgraded challenges, for instance, using your insect fly simulator, or your Yar. You must destroy the shield that surrounds the Cotyle base, or the core. The shields now have sectors with various degrees of difficulty, including turrets. They also throw multiple cores at you later in the game. Really fun.
Yeah, it looks really cool the way they updated that.
Gravitar. This game is a real test of patience. While the concept overall is rather nebulous, one thing's for sure. This game shouldn't have had asteroid-style propulsion in the tight quarters they demand you to navigate. While borderline unplayable for insane difficulty, there is something addicting about seeing how far you can get on any given run. Missile Command could have been great if they didn't turn it into a button masher. It's sad but true. They took away the bullet count for the turrets and just swarm you with missiles. If you try to play as we did back then, calm and collective, you would lose in the first level. It's bullshit. Similarly, Berserk was a near-perfect game that requires strategic approach to confronting your enemy because you only had one bullet on the screen at a time. Your enemy has the same limitations, creating an intense standoff because you die with only one hit. The Recharged version shits all over this by giving you health bar and a semi-automatic weapon. They give your enemies the same weaponry, effectively turning the whole thing into a bullet hell run and gun. What a damn shame. Quantum. Quantum is a top-down space game where you have to navigate your ship into loops in order to destroy your enemy. I never played this one prior to the review, but I find it not to be very fun. So there you have it. My rating for this, I would say, for the whole collection is 2.5 out of 5.
2.5 out of 5. What would we say we would give Amazon at a secret level?
Oh, for me, I would say like 1
Yeah.
because I don't want to like not give it anything.
I mean, yeah, there's some stuff to like visually. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's right. It's
maybe a 2, maybe a
it's
2.
it's not my favorite. It's definitely not a 2. It's at least a 1.5.
All right, we'll say 1. We'll settle on 1.5.
So I don't know. So you like go with Volume 3 for Atari, but otherwise it's a pass, maybe.
Yeah, if you can get individual games on their own, as well, I would say get Centipede too, because Centipede's a lot of fun. Centipede, Caverns of Mars, and Yars' Revenge are the best games on there.
Well, I'm curious. Did you ever play that museum anthology for Atari that came out a while ago, where you like get to walk through like almost like the history of Atari while you're playing these games?
I have it. I haven't played it.
Like,
I bought it a long time ago, and I just never played it.
I wonder if that is a better honoring and like worthy of picking up versus playing Atari Recharged, because like I've heard nothing but good things, and I haven't played that either. But if I'm going to pick up one or the other right now, I'm tempted to play the museum because it comes with like almost a history lesson on top of it. I've heard it was well done, and I don't know if I want to play the games where it hasn't necessarily someone kind of crapping on the original gameplay, like the way you mentioned Berserk did.
Oh yeah, Berserk. Like, give me a break. How could you fuck up Berserk?
Yeah, man, there's something so good about the simplicity of some of these games when, um, I know there was like limitations, but the limitations made them great. Like playing Scorched Earth or like which is a similar game as like Worms back in the day. Like
Mm-hmm.
those things had very like I know it's slow because you're waiting for one turn and one turn and one bullet and one bullet and you're trying to like gauge wind resistance and all this and you have one bit of health or whatever for these things. But that's what made it fun.
Yeah,
Like I
and that
think
that
yeah.
was it. It also like it built up a lot of intensity in the moment.
Yep. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and if you're playing against your friend on some of those type of games, oh my gosh, the tension because you're one shot.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. It's too bad some of that maybe was missed.
It was kind of like playing the Golden Gun in 007.
Oh my gosh.
Like
Yeah.
where everybody had the Golden Gun.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's one game. Out of all these games, I guarantee you Yar's Revenge holds up twice as good as GoldenEye. GoldenEye's oof, that thing. Just let that sit in your memory as a pretty little picture and never go back. That game is not good.
Yeah, I haven't picked it up since.
Even going back, just the Nintendo 64. That poor thing. It just did not age well.
I agree.
Well, thanks for your review on that. We gotta find some other fun stuff to review in 2025. This is our last episode of 2024. I'm glad we're
Yep.
back, Pete. Let's find something else to talk about in 2025. We've got a lot to look forward to. Um, there's I don't really have any games I'm necessarily like have dead set on. I like that Ninja Gaiden game. There's a Hyperlight Drifter sequel coming out called Hyperlight Breaker, which is a roguelike, but it's turned into a 3D game, which I'm just like, now I'm not
Man,
interested.
they did the same thing with Moonlighter. They made another Moonlighter and it's 3D now.
Did they really make I had no idea. I have Moonlighter sitting on my shelf back there.
Or they're working on it. I don't know if it's
Oh
out yet,
no,
but
that's too bad. Moonlighter, wow. That is underrated game. That is so fun.
yeah, that's a fun ass game.
And the sprite work on that game is like, what? Like, I don't even know how you do that, but really well done.
Yep. And Risk of Rain also ruined their. They actually like released. It started as a 2D game, Then they released a 3D version of the game, and then they released Risk of Rain Returns, which is like back to 2D because nobody liked the 2D, the 3D game apparently.
All right, I'm putting you on the spot. Is there any game that made a leap, like a significant positive leap into 3D that was 2D? I don't know. Like, I can't think of one right now. I'm sure there's a lot of people being like, Zelda did. Oh,
nope.
yeah, Metroid Prime. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a new Metroid Prime coming out this year.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. I never played it. I like my Metroid side scrolling. I still haven't played Dread. I need to play Dread. That's a good goal for.
Dread is awesome.
Yeah. I got that sitting on my shelf too, just never broke it open. I'll do that. How about I do that? 2025, the year I go back and play games that you guys all played 10 years ago. I will say I'm playing a ton of Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
God, that game is just so good. If anybody wants to try to do a little high score challenge, let me see. I will propose a challenge to our listeners. Hopefully none of you are good, so that way I can still feel good about myself. But a high score challenge for Donkey Kong. I've been playing it the last couple months. My personal best right now, should you want to try to beat it, 133,800.
Arcade.
I'm playing MAME on a keyboard, just so we know. I don't want to hide anything. Of course, I'm not using save states. That's ridiculous. But yeah, keyboard, MAME. Yeah, I'd love to see people's scores on Donkey Kong.
Post screenshots.
Yeah, that would be great. So you can reach us again at a couple more minutes at gmail.com. This has been Jeff Gabor and Pete Paquette. Thanks for listening. Anything else, Pete?
That's all.
All right, we'll see you guys in a month. All right, cheers.
See ya.